Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Legends of Takaful, a podcast series proudly put together by Actuarial partners celebrating 40 years of Takaful in Malaysia. So, who is a legend? It's easy to look back and see who is a legend, as hindsight is 2020. But what about the current leaders in Takaful? Who will be the legends of tomorrow? In this series, we'll sit down and have a conversation with pioneers and founders of Takaful in Malaysia. People who truly shaped the industry, going beyond the numbers and finding out what really inspired them, their challenges and struggles, as well as their insights. We truly hope that this will both help drive Takaful forward for the next 40 years, as well as assist countries in just starting out with Takaful. In the first 10 years of Takaful, there was only one operator, Syarikat Takaful Malaysia, or STM. Anyone entering the STM office during those days knew things were done differently. The first time I went to a meeting with the CEO there, Dato' Fazli, I even remember having to take my shoes off at the entrance of the floor. They had a monopoly at that time, and they focused on establishing a presence, rather than having the cheapest rates and fierce competition. Back then, the loss ratios for motor business were noticeably better than conventional insurance, which was surprising due to the small size of STM, and the need to be large and strong enough to control the workshops. STM used Bank Islam branches as the main distribution source. The second entrant was Takaful National, or TN, the Takaful operations of the national insurer MNI. TN is now Etika and focused on agency force distribution during those days. Those days we had heavy debates on whether it was acceptable to have agents selling Takaful, promoting actually, as how the model would work, as until that point we used a Mudaraba model, with the operator paying most expenses out of surplus sharing, which occurs at the end of the year. Several years later, Maybank obtained a Takaful license, and TN eventually combined with Maybank Takaful to give rise to Etika, which had a full lineup of agency and bancassurance distribution channels for Takaful, as well as conventional insurance. During the same time, the first re-Takaful operator in Malaysia started, Actuarial. So whereas the first operator relied on bank branches, and the second operator relied on its existing agency force infrastructure, Takaful Ikhlas, starting 10 years after TN, had to start from scratch. This led the CEO, Dato' Said Mohib, to drive a number of innovative solutions, including bringing the Wakala model over from the Middle East. This represents roughly the halfway point so far of the Takaful journey in Malaysia. Several years later, the era of the multinationals in Takaful began, with a range of global insurers and reinsurers recognizing the potential of this market. Prudential in particular brought synergy to its products, creating Takaful equivalents of its conventional insurance products, especially unit-linked plans. This was also the time that Bank Negara really strengthened the regulatory focus on Takaful through JPIT. Regulations were held fairly consistent between Takaful and conventional insurance, with the goal of creating a level playing field. Today, Takaful is at a crossroads in Malaysia. Although we've come a long way, we still have a long way to go to rival conventional insurance in Malaysia. Will Takaful focus on consistency with conventional insurance? Or will there be increasing innovation in the models used as well as market segments focused on? Will we be able to use Takaful to increase insurance penetration in Malaysia, especially underserved markets? Insurance in any form is about managing risks and building trust. Takaful can truly be key in many market segments in building this trust and forming the foundation of a population that understands its risks and how to manage them. This is the foundation of true financial literacy, which must be a goal for the next 40 years. Actuarial Partners has been involved since the beginning of Takaful in Malaysia and has been involved in some way with all the Takaful operators here. We truly hope that this podcast series is useful and the next 40 years of Takaful development is equally exciting. Malaysia boleh!
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the 8th episode of the series Legends of Takaful. The series aimed to celebrate the individuals who have contributed to the development of Takaful in Malaysia. 2024, as you know, marks the 40th anniversary of the establishment of the first Takaful operator in Malaysia. Today we welcome Encik Wan Zamri Wan Zain. Wan, welcome. And firstly, thank you for making time to join me in this podcast. As usual, and now we usually start with some kind of introduction by the speaker itself. himself. So if you could just tell briefly about yourself, your background, and how you actually ended up in the insurance industry.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First and foremost, I'm far away from being a legend of Takaful, and I'm just a seasoned practitioner in banking, insurance, and Takaful. As you know, I'm ex-HSBC, a good 30 years with HSBC. The first 10 years I was a general banker, if you like, where I was exposed to operation, corporate banking, as well as what was it? I was doing credit, I was doing trade finance, I was doing branch operations. First 10 years. After the 10th year, I got a call. I was in Kota Kinabalu, and I got a call from the head office. They want me to come back to start the insurance business of the bank. At that point in time, we were selling a lot of direct marketing product with American Home. A lot of the direct marketing product, fire insurance, and the other one is MRTA. 100,000 premium only. But you know how much loan we gave out, right? 10%. For some reason, they say they want to expand the insurance business. So I'm like, why me? So went back after 5 good years in Kota Kinabalu, went back to head office, first posting as at the head office. After 1 month, I went to see my boss. I said, I want to go back to corporate banking. I don't even know what is a whole life. I'm not interested in this business that you're trying to ask me to build, because I don't know what insurance is all about.
Okay.
Because they don't teach me in college,
No, they don't.
not in our education world here. And then he said something which made me think. He said, where do you want to go? Well, I want to go to corporate banking. I want to be a chief credit officer one day. Okay, by the time, let's say 5 years from now, who are your competitors in the bank? Oh, I say, quite a few. Okay. But if you build this business in 5 years' time and it grows, who are your competitors in the bank? Nobody. There you go. Why don't you give it a shot? It's something new. It's a new business domain, if you like, for the bank. I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I said, if you want me to stay, I need to be trained. So I was lucky enough. They sent me to UK. I spent 2 years there. That's 2 months, sorry, with HSBC Life in Bristol, trying to find out how the operation, what is underwriting, how they do the products. But more importantly, during that time, how insurance is being sold to the bank.
Through the bank.
Through the bank. Because we have HSBC Life. So in the UK, we just took over Midland, what do you call it? Midland Bank. We took over. So it's not only knowing about how products are manufactured at HSBC Life, but how it's being sold in the bank. So what we call the bank assurance now.
Mm.
So I went out with the financial planning managers, see how they sell the products, because that was my foundation when I came back, because I have to sell insurance products to the bank branches. So it was a good attachment for about 2 months. I came back with a business plan, and then I started working on how do we introduce more life and general products. So we, on the general side, work with Commercial Union those days, Straits and Island. That is for the general side, for corporate, and then looking at life side, how do we extend more product range to the customers. Did well. That was 1994. Nothing on Takaful yet.
No.
At all. So after that, what happened was in the late 1990s, late 1990s, bank can sell unit trust. So the boss came to me and said, I need you to get the bank staff to sell unit trust. okay, I don't quite understand unit trust. Please, I need to be trained. So I went back to the UK again, and I went to HSBC Asset Management. Came back, same business plan. How do we get people to buy unit trust at the HSBC branches? Grew it. After a good 5 years, they say it's time for you to move because we need you. We don't want you to be a specialist. So we need, as part of your career, you got to go back to the banking side, and then we're going to send you to Perak region, look after a few branches. So when I was there, my boss was looking after insurance, because insurance is managed through Hong Kong office, our regional office. So he said, "Oh, Wan, why don't you come to Hong Kong and we need to develop insurance across Asia Pacific, 21 countries." I said, okay. So I left the bank, rejoined the bank. I left on a Friday, rejoined HSBC Hong Kong. And when I was in Hong Kong, what happened was I looked after 21 countries where HSBC operate. And what I do is that I go to countries where they're about to start insurance business, or they already what I call matured, where, for example, in Singapore, we have HSBC Life, so work with them, trying to get the product range. So I'm more like a so-called consultant advisor to all these countries based on my experience. So I enjoyed that for 5 years, as well as unit trust, so insurance and investment. Spent about 5 years, and then my big boss in London said, "Would you like to come back?" Because HSBC just got a Takaful license. That was 2006. So I said, my late mother wasn't well. I said, okay, I'll come back. So I came back, and that was my first exposure to Takaful. HSBC Amanah Takaful, which has now been sold to FWD. But I came back as the head of distribution because they have all the people for products or marketing. So I was helping the CEO because we're going to sell it through the bank, because I was on the other side. Now I'm on this side. So for me, it's about getting the branch to sell our product, because at that point in time, they were sleeping with other insurance companies. You know what I mean? So now it's a Takaful product. So spent 2 years, and then I got headhunted to start international Takaful with AIA. Yeah. So that's when I was exposed to, really I have to start a new startup. But AIA International Takaful was primarily we were selling US dollar denominated Takaful product. So we use a leverage model with AIA Berhad. So that's where I was first exposed to Takaful.
Yeah, let's just go through that period of time, because it's very interesting, the fact that you are actually a banker first. I would say that
Yeah.
and our experience as bankers, and we're having drinks just now. Bankers are very conservative. They perhaps do not appreciate insurance as much as perhaps someone who is actually has been in that line for many years. So what was your perception about insurance? The fact that you're selling insurance to your banking clients. Is this something that you find there was some difficulty? Because I think HSBC is a bit unique in the sense that they are more, if you like, their clients are more at the upper end of the income spectrum. So I guess from the perspective of their financial literacy, it's probably a bit on the higher end. So would that be true that they do understand the product, and therefore when the bank sells the insurance product to their banking clients, you don't have much in terms of friction. You're able to actually get to them, or maybe it was through your high net worth client. I mean, I'm just what is actually the success factors? You were selling insurance, you were selling unit trust, and all these basically perhaps are more linked towards the higher end of the income spectrum. Would you fair to say that these are people who are more financially literate and therefore, didn't have much trouble in terms of selling products?
When I first started in '94, when I came back from the UK, the first step is you need to have the product reach. We've been selling a lot of direct marketing products. So my focus was on selling MRTA because we give a lot of housing loan those days. And I remember those days we have a 1 billion sales target for mortgages. So there's a lot of MRTA to be sold. I got to educate 36 branches, all the personal bankers, and also third-party agents where we used to get loans. When you sell mortgages, you got to make sure you also sell MRTA. So I was the product developer, if you like. I was the marketing person. I was the trainer. I do a lot of motivational talk, trying to encourage people. Hey, what's your biggest asset? Ability to work, right? But you have a mortgages. If something happened to you, so I do all this training to get all these people to buy MRTA. Long story short, it was very successful. When you talk about the high net worth individual, we don't have the set of products yet. We don't have the investment link, the universal life product. At that point in time when I was in HSBC, we don't sell those products. Premier was just being launched, belum launch lagi. So we haven't reached a stage. But if you ask me now, yeah, the literacy on protection, on wealth management is high among the Premier customers right now, yeah. But those days it was difficult. One of the things the thing that make it easier after so many years is I managed to get the 36 branches with all the salespeople to understand why protection insurance is important. And one of the things that I must say I left a legacy, but now the legacy is gone, is I came back from the UK. One of the things I noticed, your MRTA, you have death and TPD.
Yes.
So what I did is I want you to add critical illness, bundle it. Nobody has introduced this in Malaysia. But in the UK, everybody is talking about critical illness.
Yeah.
Whether it's direct marketing, whether you're selling through your mortgages, that is all bundled. AIA, at that point in time, was our 100% provider. So I managed to get Manulife, Time AXA those days, and nobody wants to do it because it's expensive, as you know, where you get death, TPD, and critical illness.
So single premium.
Single premium.
Pay immediately.
Oh yes, oh yes. And what happened was, Manulife, this chap said, "I'll do it for you." So we did it. The first year, I'll tell you the reason why I want to share this story is about innovation, right? This is insurance.
Yeah.
The first year, we sold like 10, less than 10, but the chap said, "Don't worry, one, it's just the first year. Let's work on the second year." And the second year and third year onwards, it was 47% of the total MRTA.
Wow.
Because our clientele base, people buying a lot of high-end properties, right? Sadly, the product is no longer being offered in the HSBC now, I think. But that is something that I always remember because there were a few claims.
Yeah.
And then when you see, $2 million and cancer, diagnosed with cancer, blah, 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 so we pay. So it satisfies you because you help somebody, right?
Oh, that's good. And I think that maybe that is something that, something that's missed, in the sense that, when people see you work in insurance, then you say, okay, work in insurance, yeah. I.e., they sort of imply that insurance is something that is not really, of value. And to say that, you as a practitioner, you say someone claims a couple of million ringgit as a claim, you're happy because they claim. It's not, you're not happy. sometimes you say, oh, I'm not happy because the claim loss ratio is so high.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here you say you're happy because there are claims. And I think that is the perspective that actually should drive, if you like, in terms of insurance takaful, because you're actually providing protection. The key is protection, not profits, if you like.
Yeah.
But let's move on, because I think what you're trying to say here is that when you moved to HSBC Takaful, you brought with you this wealth of experience as a banker in terms of the people that you service as a banker, and then you have experience in terms of unit trust investments as well. And you brought this to HSBC Takaful. So you were distributor then, in charge of distribution. So I guess that helped you a lot in terms of helping the company grow its product range. I think we had on this Legends of Takaful, we had Zainuddin. Was he a CEO at the point of time?
After I left.
After you left, yeah. So he came in as a CEO.
Yes.
But after you left,
Yes.
who was the CEO at that point of time?
Key driver.
Key driver.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, I mean, a Takaful company that was actually being led by
an American.
An American.
Yeah.
What was the experience there before we move on to AIA?
Well, key driver, when I was in Hong Kong, he worked in London HQ, HSBC, and he looks after global insurance. So every time he comes into Asia, he has to come through my desk because you're going to see Singapore. Okay, what is it all about? So I always, we have a very close relationship because we're trying to grow the insurance business across Asia Pacific. So he was the one who asked me whether I want to come back because we just received HSBC Agrotakaful. So I came back and didn't know that he's going to be the CEO, my boss. So he went out of his way to try to get me back. So working with him, well, we worked for about 2 years. Then I got headhunted and left for AIA. He's different, of course, being an American. So he tried a lot of new things on how we should operate. So at times it's very challenging because there are Sharia areas that we need to ensure. So I got to really work with him to ensure that whatever we do, it must be Sharia compliant.
So you're actually the interpreter for Sharia, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
No, but the point, I guess the point is that Keith was basically quite sensitive, like to the fact that it's Takaful, you have to listen to Sharia. And then I think it was quite successful at HSBC Takaful. I think we were actually at that point of time, HSBC Takaful. I remember, and then I was telling Zainuddin that I remembered that like 90% of your policyholders were non-Muslims. And that shows the strength of the distribution of HSBC, for which I guess you have contributed towards that. So yeah, I mean, I think the importance here is the distribution, and the importance here is the fact that you've got management who are supportive, who understands the limitations. But I guess at that point of time, when you learn about Takaful, and then you've got all this information in regards to insurance and investment, and then you move on to AIA basically. And AIA is a bit unique because I remember during those days, AIA really wanted the Takaful license. But Bank Negara wasn't so keen earlier at that point of time and say, why don't you set up this AIA in Labuan, which is an international kind of Takaful. What's the story behind that?
Well, they wanted a local license, so obviously it was not given. When I came in, they already got the license to start under the MIFC, Bank Negara Malaysia International Financial Center Initiative. MIFC,
Yes.
So they were given a license to operate an international Takaful where you are only allowed to sell foreign denominated Takaful product. So when I was asked whether I want to, again, a new business domain, if you like, similar to when I first started 10 years after I was a banker, I said, this is something new. But the reason they were going after me is because of my exposure in Asia Pac. What I learned is that you want to offer international, you want to offer a foreign denominated Takaful product because you want to expand overseas. So that interests me because I had exposure for 5 years in Asia Pacific. So I said, oh, that's interesting because nobody is doing it. Again, first of its kind. So I went in and license was already given. Small operation. We had the investment link US dollar account. Target and you have to find the value proposition for this US dollar investment link product because the sum covered is higher. So it's very specific. And we were leveraging on AIA strong agency force to sell. We don't have our own because we're such a small unit. And was doing okay until we were planning. And then unfortunately, it was the financial crisis. My first day of operation was in the Bloomberg, AIG, taken over by the Fed. I'm selling US dollar.
What year was that?
That was 2009, the financial crisis, yeah.
2009.
So my boss called me and said, Wan, I think Houston, we have a problem. So what happened is we look at the strategic option to continue with this outfit, selling international foreign currency Takaful. And what we realize is if you get a local license, you can still sell foreign denominated Takaful product through your international business unit within the local license.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense to have your own capital, and then if you apply, and there was at that point in time, Banagara was asking for, was planning to give new licenses. So what we did was, I worked with the team, with the AIA team, the corporate strategy. We came up with a business plan, and we applied for a local license. So obviously, when we apply, Banagara said, "What are you going to do with your AIA International Takaful?" So I said, "Well, we will transfer that business to if we get the local license." So it was quite easy because you have established the system, the products, the marketing, the customer service, because it's leveraging on the model with AIA. It's a leverage model. That's why it's very lean, very small team that I have. So when we submit, our plan was we have the experience with, we have our own Sharia committee, and Alhamdulillah, we got the license.
So AIA Takaful International Berhad was only active for 2 years, 3 years?
Oh no, tak sampai. I think a year plus.
A year plus only.
Yeah, a year plus.
So
we submit. I think a year plus because I left in 2011. Yeah, about 2 years. Sorry, about 2 years because I joined MetLife Takaful 2011, so it's about 2 years. So after that, they got the license, they sought out AIA. I didn't want to stay on with AIA. So at that point in time, there were 4 new licenses given. AM Bank, ING,
Hong Leong.
Hong Leong Takaful. Can't remember, there's 4. I got interviewed by 2 of them. Finally, I decided to take up with, those days we call it AM Family Takaful, because the owner, the shareholder at that point in time was Friends Provident from the UK, and then subsequently was sold to MetLife.
Okay.
Yeah. So the process, I think it was good for AIA because we operated AIA International Takaful. We had a product, but unfortunately, it's the financial crisis. So it doesn't. When you look back, you said it doesn't make sense to continue because you can do that with your local license, and that was the plan. Why they didn't do that nowadays, I don't know.
No, I think in those days, if I remember correctly, I mean, you said MIFC. So the plan was that to actually showcase Malaysia as an international Islamic financial center.
Yeah.
And then Labuan was trying to be promoted. So having AIA Takaful International Berhad selling Takaful products internationally, I think fits into the equation. I think Banagara at point in time was not ready yet to issue a license to AIA. But anyway, I think maybe the financial crisis accelerated that process,
Yeah.
and they gave poor licenses, as you
Yeah.
mentioned. But going back to your career, so it seems to be that you were I think you had a very quite rounded in terms of your experience. You were exposed to quite a few of the important kind of assets in terms of distribution, for sure. And then you learn the insurance, from the banker's perspective, the mortgage products, and international products with AIA, and then Life. Now that is back-to-back insurance, isn't it? I mean, with HSBC, yes, bank insurance as well. AIA, leveraging off the AIA group. So that's perhaps the first time that you're using the AIA group.
Agency force.
No banks. No banks.
Yeah.
Then one thing about M is the fact that even though they have a lot of branches, I think initially they were not that kind of utilizing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do remember that during those days that, they've got M insurance as well for some time.
Yep.
And the CEO then was actually having a problem trying to get M branches to actually sell insurance or actually distribute insurance.
Yes.
You had the same kind of experience?
Same. So I think I spent 4 years there trying to build the business. When I look back, despite my exposure starting this business during the bank insurance, HSBC, as well as looking at my experience with all the countries in Asia Pacific where bank insurance is being promoted, I thought I would do well. But little did I know that, when you do a bank insurance model, there are a lot of things that you need to understand. The whole model that you're trying to operate. M MetLife, previously was AM Family Takaful. You must remember when we came, the bank is selling conventional products. You have MRTA, we have MRTT. You have investment link, they sell investment link conventional, we sell investment link Takaful. So the key here is that if I look back and learning from the experience, if I want to give somebody advice, you got to sit down and decide, because you have conventional and Takaful being sold at the bank branches. How are you going to, if you come, whether you are Muslim or non-Muslim, which one do you offer? And the issue we have is sometimes the incentive scheme is not aligned. So as a result, I got a sales target for this quarter and I need to sell this. So you tend to promote the conventional. You see? So there are many facets to trying to, they say you cannot cannibalize one and another. So that's something that you really have to work with the bank. I face a lot of challenges. And I think that's why for 4 years it was a struggle. There are things that you can do better. I didn't have, it's only for 4 years. On hindsight, I should have done this, I should have done that, because I was on the other side. But on the other side, those days, it's easier for us to, when HSBC Takaful was producing all the product, we tried to drop all the conventional product because you own this Takaful.
Okay.
So you therefore cannot be promoting the other third party.
Yes.
So the buy-in is easier, right?
Right.
But for mBank, the struggle, we are new. We are new people. People are used to conventional MRTAs and the endowment and the guaranteed products. So how do you change that mindset? So there's some learnings here going forward. How I would approach it if I'm given a role to promote a Takaful product in the bank. That's something that I would like to share if I'm given an opportunity to work with people who are in the industry now.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the point that you make is very pertinent. The fact that you were successful in terms of distributing banker product at HSBC, because as far as HSBC Malaysia is concerned, they only got the Takaful license. They don't have the life insurance license.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense for them to actually promote the Takaful product to their banking customers who are perhaps mostly non-Muslims per se. You know? And then when you moved on to AIA, you were using the agency model. And then I guess with the agency model, it is up to the insurance company to determine the quota that the insurance agent has got to sell. So there again, there's again the if you like, the push factor, in the sense that this is your budget. You have to actually produce this amount of contributions. Because AIA basically sells both life and general per se, but it's international, and so you have access to the international high net worth US dollar. And then when you go to M Insurance, and then the fact that M Takaful, the fact that they were already before that they already have a life insurance license, I think, at the point in time. They already have that.
Conventional,
And the conventional basically made an attempt I say made an attempt because I knew they were also struggling, trying to get the branches to sell insurance. And basically that was an established business. So you're not Takaful, you're coming in. M-Bank does have Islamic banking, but I think that at that point in time it's still quite nascent. So you struggle because of the fact that, as far as the banks are concerned, now you got two insurance products to sell, Takaful and insurance. And how is it that, how should they allocate their time? Because I think the point they're trying to make, it all goes back in terms of management. Because the people downstream at the bank, or management at the bank, what to sell. I think I do remember they do have like windows. 4 months you sell this, 4 months you sell that. Was that true? I mean,
the difference here is the conventional is M-Bank owned conventional life company, M-Life. In HSBC, you have 100% owned by HSBC, but the other products, conventional, are third-party products. So there's a big differentiation there, because I have to fight with the CEO of conventional for the space in M-Bank.
Okay.
So huge difference, because the CEO of Paul Lau, yeah. So both of us has to work. Okay, you have this campaign, right, for guaranteed products. So at this point in time, we will sort of the Takaful will be de-emphasized, if you like, because there's a campaign for guaranteed products. So that's the difference, because for HSBC it's quite easy, because it's our own. Third party we just put aside dulu,
of course.
Whenever we come out, and I think those days we have what we call it, the guaranteed Islamic product. Can't remember now. It's everybody's single premium guaranteed for return. And then you buy for 3 years, something like that.
Like bond,
so when we sell that at HSBC, we stop the other third party products out there. So it's easy. So it helped HSBC Amanah Takaful. But here, they will come out, M-Life will come out with their guaranteed product at X% or whatever. And if we want to do a similar structure, Islamic type, then you have to find your slot. So the bank is in the dilemma, right?
No. I think that you emphasize the importance of distribution and the importance of getting the distributor to give your product priority. But that's unfortunate to some extent, because we've always talked about Takaful being different to insurance, and the fact that Takaful, at least for the Muslims, is something that you should give priority to. But effectively in Malaysia, that does not seem to bite very much. It's a case of what do you have on the table. So if you offer conventional on that particular day, I'll buy conventional. Unless I say, hey, I don't want conventional, I want Takaful. You offer Takaful that particular day, I mean, the non-Muslim will say, okay, is the same benefit as insurance? Yeah, everything's the same. All right. Is the price the same as well? Yeah, okay, fine, I'll take it. So, it becomes very much driven by distribution rather than being say, yeah, I want Takaful because I think Takaful is better than insurance. No, that was basically the way in real life it works. I suppose.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
But I know from in the case of M Takaful, you didn't have an agency force, so
We don't have.
and this is another point as well, because do you think, from the perspective, given your experience at AIA and your experience in HSBC, do you think it's possible to have banker assurance and agency residing side by side when it comes to distribution of Takaful? Because the thing is this, I think that one of the things as well that we find in terms of agents selling Takaful, and for selling Takaful in the first place, is that you have to explain the product. If you go to someone and say, I'm selling insurance, they know what insurance is. Maybe not really, but they have heard of it before. When you tell somebody you sell Takaful, they say, what is Takaful? So you have to spend more time. It's like to explain about Takaful, explain about the product, maybe what the features are, you see. And sometimes agents, they don't have much time, and they say, they take insurance now. I don't have time to talk to you about Takaful. The price is the same, Well, banker products, basically, they are simple products. It comes packaged. So, and what the beauty of MRTA is that the premium or the contribution that you use to pay the risk is bundled with the loan.
Yeah.
Therefore, you don't feel it, basically.
Yeah.
All right. So again, it seems to be like, to make it a success, you have to spend a lot of time thinking about distribution and products. Would that be fair?
It's a fair comment. If you look at my history that I've shared with you, I'm actually a distribution person. I don't care whether it is Takaful or conventional. To me, if I'm at the bank side, when I want to sell the product, I want to make sure that that product is suitable for the customer. So that's key to me. That's how I was trained. So when I was in AIA, the agency force of selling, I've never been exposed to agency. But I have been exposed to agency in the sense that when I was working in Hong Kong, we used third-party agents to sell mortgages, credit card. Huge mis-selling all over Asia Pac.
With which company was that? With AIA?
HSBC.
HSBC.
Yeah, so I'm a distributor. I look after distribution. Subsequently, I was promoted. It's not only investment and insurance. I look at wealth management products. So if you want to, for example, if you want to open a branch in Sri Lanka, you have to come to me because that's the face-to-face distribution channel. Call center, third-party call center. You want to use third-party agent in Korea to sell products to our bank customer, to sell our credit cards. That comes to me. So I'm a distribution guy. So to me, at the end of the day, when you want to sell whether it's Takaful insurance, I'm talking from the bank side.
Bank side, yes.
Whether I've discussed with Paul Lau about conventional, is this good for the customer? So if you have a guaranteed Islamic product, I can't remember what it's called, capital protected, they call it. Capital protected. You got to explain why you are selling this to this set of customers. So when I was in MetLife Takaful, I was very anal about wholesales of Takaful product. Product can be produced within 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. But at the end of the day, I'm very concerned how it's being sold via the agency business or the bank business. You want to make sure that the customer know what they're buying. And that's how I was trained. So at the end of the day, if you have a set of products for your customer, you want to sell capital protected for Islamic, and the other one is an endowment plan, there's a difference here. You can sell, but we want to know that this is suitable for the customer. So that's my concept, even as a CEO of a Takaful company. And I carry on wherever I go, even currently when I'm in the board of Agrobank, I do the same because we are selling third-party products to our customers. How it's being sold? Because there's been cases and cases of mis-selling, if you like. Customers are not aware what they are buying. So to answer your question about selling Takaful and insurance product, to me, at the end of the day, whether you use the agency is going to be much more challenging for me. because I've
So,
been
so
trained.
what selling?
Yeah, the one at the bank is much easier because you have a sales process that at the end of the day, after you sell, if we find that it's not suitable, we just call the customer. We say you've been sold the wrong product, so here's an alternative, or we will refund back all the money you paid. That's what we do in the HSBC. And this I learned when I was in the UK, where you have a sales quality team that continuously regulated that you have to check what is being sold, whether it is suitable for the customer. We are doing that in this country. You know, you have the balance scorecard for the agency by Bank Negara. One of the things that I introduced, which I'm proud to say until today, is when you sell, apart from your product disclosure sheet, we have a key feature document. In the UK now, it's called Key Facts Information. They changed the name. But this document is important, Cik Zainal. Okay, I've briefed you the product. Now what I want to do is I want to tell you what you're buying, what you're paying for, whether there will be a cooling off period, or why it's suitable for you. This is your risk profile. Do we take time to explain this? Whether it's Takaful is explaining the surplus distribution, blah, 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 semua kan. But at the end of the day, the customer wants to know whether this product is suitable. And that has been my objective all along. Like, wherever I am, to make sure that when customers buy, they know what they're buying.
Yeah.
And I think we have to do a lot more in this country to make sure that we're selling the right product to the right people and it's suitable for them.
You know, the thing is that in the UK, they've got the the Financial Services Authority, FSA, which is separate from the regulator of the insurance company, which is Bank of England.
Yeah.
So effectively, the FSA, its job is to ensure that customers are treated fairly.
Yep.
And I think they introduced quite a lot of rules to ensure that. And that's one reason I think many institutions in UK take great pains to ensure there's no mis-selling.
Yep.
Sometimes that's how it works. You leave it in the market by itself, it's not going to work. You need to regulate. In Malaysia, we've got Bank Negara, and Bank Negara is also responsible for the work FSA in UK is doing.
Yeah.
But I think you raised a very important point. But yet again, I think that we have a problem in Takaful. And that is basically the point that, you want to make sure that the client knows what it's buying. And that is okay if the client is financially literate. He understands the insurance product. If you understand the insurance product, you're given the fact sheet, you understand what is it you're buying, But if you don't know insurance, and then you're given this fact sheet, it might be all Greek to you. You just say, please sign here, I just sign.
Right.
And then that I think is an issue here, because I keep on hearing, about, as long as everything is disclosed in the policy document, in this case, Takaful certificate, then it's fine.
Yeah.
And sometimes as well, Sharia also comes from that perspective. You want to do this, this, and this, just disclose in the certificate fact sheet.
It's the application. To be Cik Zainal, is the application of that document that you have.
Yeah.
You got to spend time to explain in layman terms what you're buying. It's easy to sell a direct marketing product, all the simple product. But when you sell the investment linked product, for example, which I call which we call an advisory product, this is when you got to train your salespeople to make time for that towards the end of the sale, what they're buying. And I don't think I know a lot of banks are doing that now. They have a sales quality team checking whether you're selling. But I think we need to, if it's not made mandatory, people are not going to do it. If you say bank need to have, like in the UK, you need to have a sales quality team, and the head of sales quality team has been a financial planning manager for many years, has been selling so many policies. He's now the head of sales quality. He knows how product is being sold. If you don't follow this, you don't explain this, he can check. He checks even with the customer. So once we make it mandatory, whether it's by regulation or we as the Takaful industry, then you can see the differentiation, right? Kalau insurance agents just sell conventional, how do you make, if I'm selling a Takaful product and everybody is talking about, I know what I'm buying, that's a big plus compared to selling non-Takaful, where you just sell, it's all inside there, it's disclosed. I think that would help Takaful. It's just, it takes a long time to do this. The industry will move on. I'm hoping that we will reach a level where that become very important. Pasal kita, if you look at Syariah, kita kena be transparent. We have to talk about things where kita jangan menipu orang semua ni kan. So this is something that you have to inculcate, whether it's to the agency force or to the bank staff. And I don't think, it's just my view, I don't think we are doing enough. I think we need to do more.
No, I mean, it's a long process. I mean, you talk about insurance, it's a couple hundred years old. Now we talk about Takaful, 40 years old, and now we're still a baby, basically, right? And I think perhaps now we should concentrate on protection product in Takaful, not so much the savings product, because advisory work you mentioned just now, primarily is important in terms of savings product. So we do not have the expertise yet, even if our agents per se, in terms of Takaful agents. Now, if you sit down with them and talk to them about Takaful, you probably, there's a passing mark. The understanding is not quite there per se. So I guess where I'm trying to say here is that, I'm struggling here is that to say that, given the limitations in terms of the infrastructure they currently have in Takaful, we probably need to sell simple products first. And once people understand that, and once we can increase the financial literacy of our sort of potential customers, they will like, then we can sell them more advanced product. But these are challenges. I mean, it's something that the industry needs to still grapple with going forward. But let's talk about now. I think now you are now embarking on something which I think is very, very important for Malaysia. Which is agro insurance, Agrotakaful. And I mean, being a seasoned kind of practitioner in Malaysia as far as Takaful is concerned, I can go back, the 80s. They were already talking about, insuring, farmers, and these are basically a very important sector, segment, if you like, which is underserved in Malaysia. Perhaps you can just brief us in terms of your journey to where you are now in terms of agro.
3 years ago, after I finished my board membership at a general Takaful company as well as DFI, I was enjoying my golf until the CEO of Agrobank called me to help him out because they are intending to set up a captive company. So
for the listeners, I think Agrobank is basically a development
financial
institution. Just providing loans to the agro sector.
Correct.
That's all they do.
That's all they do. So what happened is that they've been given a license to set up a captive Takaful out of Labuan. And what the license allows us to do is to cover the paddy planters in Malaysia. So there are about 215,000 paddy farmers across the country. If there is a flood, what happened is that the government will use what I call a disaster fund. They call it Tabung Bencana Padi, and they will pay all those people who has been affected by the flood. So what happened is that the government continues to every year, especially during the Great Malaysian Flood was 20 something, few years ago. There was a Great Malaysian Flood. Government has to pay a lot of money. The disaster fund wasn't enough. So one of the ways is to look at how we can continue to insure the farmers, but at the same time trying to reduce the so-called subsidy. That because it's a tabung given by the government to cover the paddy planters. So the first step is to form this captive company out of Labuan, and then we will cover all the paddy farmers in Malaysia. So we've been working on that. We've been working on that for the last 1.5 years. So inshallah, very soon we will be launching that to cover just the paddy farmers. The government is a government initiative. We will get some funding, macam Agrobank used to get grant for agro madani, food security. The government always gives subsidy to Agrobank and we distribute it. Similarly, this one, the government will give us the money, and then with that money, we will then cover all the paddy farmers. So that's the first step. So if you see the journey so far by the government is that they have a disaster fund for the tabung bencana padi that will be taken away, and then now the government is providing that in replacement through a captive. So inshallah, once we have done this for a couple of years, if things goes well and we learn from the experience of managing crop insurance, crop takaful as we call it, then inshallah we can cover the other agriculture takaful segment.
Yeah, but you're looking at a segment of population which probably in terms of the financial literacy is perhaps a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
They have been in the past been dependent on the government. Should anything happen, the government will come in and assist them. But I don't think the assistance was necessarily 100% compensation. It's probably like a certain percentage.
Yeah.
So in the sense that they are still also carrying the risk, some aspect of it anyway. So we now talk about climate change. I think the Malaysian flood perhaps is a precursor of things to come. And there's lots of talk about how can the insurance industry, what role can the insurance industry play? In this case, the Malaysia Takaful industry, because maybe 90% of the people who are paddy farmers are Muslims. And I think, it's a good idea, Takaful rather than insurance, I mean, the issue is always a case of what's the role of insurance/Takaful as we sort of battle through climate change. Lots of things has been suggested, but one of the things that, as people come to realization is that, we cannot stop climate change per se. We can try and mitigate it, but ultimately, we've done too much harm to this planet that is irreparable, at least for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
So the issue is more now in terms of how can we manage the risk, because insurance or takaful is the last 10%, like there's risk management. So I think from the perspective of Agrotakaful, there needs to be perhaps more emphasis in terms of educating the farmers in terms of the importance of risk management.
Yeah.
I mean, not a example that you can apply in the case of Agrotakaful, but effectively, if you know that a certain place is prone to flood, you don't build it. You don't build that.
Yeah.
You build in higher ground because that's part of risk management. And if you want to cover for insurance, I mean, insurance is there to make money, you see, especially insurance because they look at underwriting profits basically, and therefore they will probably not insure you, right? Especially the fact that even they want to insure you, it's becoming more expensive. They have the problem now in the US, for example, that many places in the US, very difficult to get insurance because insurance company says, "I'm not going to make money, if I were to insure you." So I think would you agree that your journey going forward is going to be something not just about insurance, not just covering, but also about education, trying to actually impart some kind of risk awareness, if you like. I mean, for example, crop insurance. against pests, for example,
Yep.
make sure that they use the proper seedlings, But would you be investing equal amounts in terms of this kind of process, educating, risk management?
I've been with Agrobank for the last 18 months. And let's just put Takaful aside. The grant and the subsidies given by the government to Agrobank, we distribute it. We not only distribute it, we have our own so-called training university to educate the underserved and unserved. That's part of our mandate. It's not just about distributing the money. Part of our mandate is to, you talk about financial inclusion, about educating them. We have that program. So apart from, even we also have program, how do you start a small business? Agrobank provide that. We have an academy that helps young entrepreneurs, somebody who wants to start small, we have that. And it's part of our mandate. So when you look at what we are currently doing for Takaful, is a journey, it's going to be a long roadmap on agriculture Takaful. This is the first step. We have the Tabung Bencana, we have just the paddy farmers. But learning from this experience, inshallah, we hope Agrobank will be used as a vehicle to support the government initiative to reach out to the unserved and underserved by providing other agri-takaful products, livestock, fisheries, aquaculture, because at the moment there's none, right? But here's the challenge before us. The whole industry don't have the expertise. The data is so limited. So what we need to do is, the only way to be successful in this mandate is we need to have, in my view, a agriculture Takaful program, a national agriculture Takaful program, or whatever you want to call it. We don't have to look far in the US or other parts. Our neighbors in the ASEAN countries have done it. Philippines started like what we started. They have a disaster fund. They didn't have a captive, and then they start having their own public company that offer all this agriculture insurance. Not only on crop, even the non-crop. For example, the machineries, they provide those. And their journey is about 40 years. And the subsidy from the government is still given over time, but it's reducing scale. And that's what we should be, because this is 100% Tabung Bencana Padi, is 100% from the government. As we try to cover more and more people, the subsidy will have to reduce because we manage it better, like you said, the risk management. And the problem we have now is we have not done an in-depth study of the whole market. So should we have a coverage, for example, jagung or durian, aquaculture, shrimp, tilapia, So and then having that, what are the risk mitigation strategies you have to help? We were talking just now about, in Turkey, you mentioned there's a chip at the cattle again. There are countries using that already, index-based coverage. We won't go there first, but we have to start from indemnity dulu, get all the data, have that experience. It's a long journey, and Thailand is doing well. Philippines, Indonesia. There are success stories within the ASEAN country on trying to develop agriculture insurance. You know what? We will be the first in the world to offer agriculture Takaful, right? If we ever get there. The thing that I wanted to, in my view, to make this dream realize, you need the government throughout the journey. But that involvement from the government will gradually reduce because your ultimate definition of success is finally the private sector is running this. I just want to touch one last point on this agriculture Takaful. in Thailand, as I understand it, the Association of General Insurance, they are the one managing the pool to cover this. Hey, how about our MTA? You know what I mean? I know the regulation doesn't allow them to be doing all this pool or whatever, but what I'm saying is that there are best practices around the ASEAN countries that over the next 5 to 10 years, we will get there. And what will make me proud is that we have an agriculture takaful, one and only. Well, I don't know about Turkey. You mentioned about Turkey best practices. That will be great for the country.
No, I think there's a couple of things. I think the first thing is the word takaful. Because one of the things that in terms of insurance we have issues with is the fact that when insurance company go into a new field for which there's no data, they tend to be very conservative. You know, to some extent, I think maybe 2 per mil would be sufficient. Oh, no. I guess you can give a margin. We can make it 5 per mil. And, in terms of the rate, and as far as the potential insured is concerned, because there's no competition, because of the fact that, it's a market that not many insurance companies have delved into just yet because there's no data, all right? You're forced to accept a higher rate, right? And then when you look at the insurance model, then you can see that, if the insurance company were to make underwriting profit, they basically keep everything, all right?
Yeah.
So, and so that model, if you like, first it becomes something which is a barrier, if you like, for innovative kind of insurance, okay? So the idea of Takaful is that, look, we do not know what the experience will be. We don't have the data, but let's go on this basis whereby we have this, cooperation, if you like, among all the insured. Right? Let's say that we put in some money first. Because there are two ways of actually rating. There's community rated and there's the risk rated. So community rated, regardless of your risk, you all pay the same amount, maybe based on your acreage. Risk rated, meaning that if your paddy field is in a valley, for example, prone to flood, you have to pay more. All right. So here we're saying that because we all going to help each other here, maybe initially we all pay the same amount. Not community rated. Right? So because of the fact that it's all pooled together, then effectively you then adjust the premium as you go along. Because the money is still within the risk fund, per se. And then what you have to control basically are two things. One is, of course, the wakala fee to the operator, and you mentioned MTA. I'm not quite sure that MTA is a business per se. But I think I don't put it past that you have the Takaful operators themselves basically coming up together and and doing the management part of it, which is what they do in Turkey basically. So effectively, as you get the experience, as you get information, you can fine tune the rate. And then from that perspective, when people see that there's more data, then perhaps you can actually attract other risk carriers, if you like, to come and actually share in this pool. And I think that's another issue about Takaful that we need to accept. That in terms of reinsurance, Takaful, the Takaful is still very much very little in terms of, not little, I would say that a bit deficient in terms of the volume that's available out there. Capacity, the word is capacity. All right. So we have to depend to some extent still on the reinsurance market, perhaps indirectly. So
this is the Darurah and Ajah.
Darurah, but the point is for them, they just want to see what's there. They want to be confident that the race is adequate. So I think once the data is there, once you got the risk process in place, and you can see that the risk is improving, then it becomes A-class risk, as it were, then I'm sure you can attract more people to go into the pool. Now it's like going into the unknown. And that's the reason as well, I think, why public-private partnership is very, very important. Because of the fact that, given the unknown, you do need the government to chip in to provide the funding, initially anyway.
And I just want to add that what you just mentioned, the key here is that you need the participation. right? These are unserved and underserved. What I meant by participation is the take-up rate.
Mm.
So the only way for you to do that, and I was reading an article, 65% of countries around the world, the participation rate has to go up if the government continue to provide the subsidy. We can't do it alone. It won't work, because how do you do that? Subsidy plus make it compulsory. And the only way to make it compulsory is legislation, right? Kalau you tak buat tu, then you will have an issue because the take-up rate is not going to be there. You have to make it compulsory.
Yeah.
That's the challenge before us, because Takaful insurance is not supposed to be compulsory. But we can do that. Also, if you don't get the volume, then it's going to be not sustainable.
Well, that goes to any pool one, because effectively the whole idea of insurance, the Takaful, is risk pooling. Right, so there's always the case that, like medical insurance, you get people who buy medical insurance basically. I'm not well, I need insurance.
Yeah.
Right. The people say, "Well, I've never been to the hospital all my life."
Yeah.
He's not going to buy insurance.
Yeah.
He's looking at his past history and saying, "I'm not going to buy insurance because I'm not going to go to the hospital."
Yeah.
He thinks his past history is reflective of his future, basically.
Yeah.
So that becomes a situation whereby you've got a pool which is weighted towards people who make claims. That's a medical example, and that partly the reason why we got medical claims inflation.
Yeah.
So it goes back again to this case of agro insurance. So some people say, I don't need insurance. I think I've never had any problem with my paddy field all these years. So it goes back again to this concept of Takaful, which is a bit unique. The fact that actually I'm not actually buying insurance here. I'm actually donating to those farmers basically who are unfortunate that they have a claim. Alhamdulillah, I don't have a claim.
Yeah.
The fact that I contribute to this pool, to me, is my good deed, right? And that, I think, is what I think we also have got to communicate to the insured, if you like, because that could also increase the participation rate. Because if you only get people who want to buy into an Agrotakaful product because they think they're going to make a claim, because historically they have had problems, then you will have only a very biased kind of pool in respect of those people who are going to make a claim in the future. But that's the beauty of Takaful as well, in the sense that we're not looking about premium here. We're talking about helping the unfortunate among us. No, not helping one another. Helping one another seems to simply imply that I think basically as well I might claim, and therefore I'm a bit selfish as well. I want to participate here. Here I'm saying people who do not think they're going to claim, but still they want to participate because they want to help other people. Now it goes back to religion of Islam, whereby we all want one body. If one part of our ummah is basically in pain, like now in Palestine, now we are also in pain, even though we're not there. All right.
Yeah.
So I think we have to go on that concept. That's why I go back again. Trying to differentiate Takaful from insurance is the fact that we need to also ensure that people understand that this is about helping each other. Not about insurance per se. It's a difference between insurance and Takaful, because insurance, the reason why it's not Sharia compliant is the fact it is speculative risk. The insurance company is trying to make money from basically making underwriting profits. Takaful, we're not talking about underwriting profits. We have the wakalah fee, but all the underwriting profits per se, is for the purpose of the participants in the pool. So I think this is something also we need to try and sort of push this education. Anyway.
I just want to add the Agrotakaful that we have is we have to educate the farmers.
Yes.
That's agreed. When you talk about the pool and everything, they don't pay. Actually, they are participants.
Initially.
Well, the plan is ultimately they will pay on their own, but over time. But for now, it's about the government helping them to cover their paddy farm. So if you don't pay, you don't care where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from. But I agree with you totally on that. But at the end of the day, when you make the participant pay for it, then this is key for you to explain.
You explain to them,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
I think one further aspect of it is the fact that currently when they don't pay, there's no incentive for them to do risk
Yeah.
management as well.
Yeah.
Right. So ultimately,
And-
perhaps
exactly.
you have to move from community rated
Yeah.
to risk rated.
Yeah.
So if you actually do good in terms of risk management, you pay less.
You raise a valid point where I think that's something that the agro captive Takaful need to work on, educating the farmers about risk mitigation. And I think this will be part of our mandate to ensure that we're not just covering you, we're going to try and help you on the risk mitigation part of your paddy farm. So that's something that I think we have to work harder.
You know, another thing as well is the perspective that it must be win-win.
Yes.
Because the point here is that don't look on the negative side that I'll lose my crop. If we do risk mitigation process, you basically use the best seedlings, you know, then your productivity goes up. So it's win-win.
Yeah.
You know, you find a situation that if they can see that effectively by doing this risk mitigation kind of process, their income goes up. Then you achieve two things. One is basically the fact that they are now having more money to spend. Instead of receiving zakat, they'll be paying zakat. You know, from that perspective. And the other one is the fact that now they can afford to pay the premium. And the premium as a percentage of the income is small. Less painful.
Okay.
But anyway, Wan, I mean, it's interesting conversing with you. But there's going to be an interesting journey, I think, in terms of your next phase of your development. But you know, your journey as a banker into insurance, you know, I think that's quite unique, you know, because those are people that we have so far interviewed in this podcast have basically been basically hardcore Takaful operators. You know,
I've been on that point. I think I've been blessed, Chizanal. I think from insurance to Takaful, and then it's all new things. AIA International Takaful is international, is a foreign denominated Takaful. I went to MetLife. We were trying to do the cash wakaf product. Went all the way to the Banagara SSC, stopped there. And then after I left, I thought that's it, right? Bye-bye to retired. And then this opportunity or calling, if you like, to me, the government wanted to do agriculture Takaful. So something new again. You know, I'm not a insurance person per se, you know, or Takaful from that angle. But with that experience I have, I hope I can contribute to the development of this, hopefully, inshallah, agriculture Takaful for all segments in the ecosystem.
And the first in the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, Wan. I think I know you've given us another perspective with which we need to look at Takaful. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you, Chizaza, for having me. Happy to share the experiences and this opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
those people who are basically journeying with us through this podcast, and inshallah we'll see you again next.